Okay, I'm seeing folks enter in here. Welcome, everybody. This is the WisCaregiver Careers Employer Kickoff webinar. We're just going to give folks a few seconds to join, and then we'll get started. And as we get started, we can launch our first poll about if your facility has provided CNA training before. Okay, great. Well, it's 2:31. I think we'll get started. Hello and welcome to the WisCaregiver Careers 2022 Employer Kickoff webinar. My name is Kate Battiato, and I'm the project manager for WisCaregiver Careers. I'm also the Director of Workforce Development for the Wisconsin Healthcare Association and the Wisconsin Center for Assisted Living. With me today is the wonderful team I am so fortunate to work with on this exciting program expansion that we are all here to talk about today. We have Rick Abrams, CEO of WHCA YCAL, and our partners from Leading Age Wisconsin. We have CEO John Sauer, VP of Member Services and Innovation, Janice Mashak, and Director of Housing and Clinical Services, Robin Wolzenberg. Also here today representing our new partnership with the Wisconsin National Guard in their civilian capacity, our private first class Amanda Hierstetter and Lieutenant John Jennings. Amanda and John, thank you for being here, and thank you to the Wisconsin National Guard for their partnership and support in helping us roll out this program expansion. We also wanted to thank DHS for the $6 million investment they chose to make in WisCaregiver Careers through the American Rescue Plan Act. There has been a whole team at DHS that has made this program expansion possible, all quarterbacked by Dr. John Myman and reaching across the department from the Secretary's office to the Division of Quality Assurance, the Division of Public Health, the Division of Medicaid Services, plus the Communications and Budget Shops. We really appreciate your teamwork in helping us address the workforce crisis in long-term care, and this truly makes WisCaregiver Careers 2.0 a partnership that spans across the public, private, and nonprofit sectors to get us all pulling in the same direction. Before we dive into today's content, I'd like to turn it over to Rick and John for a few words of welcome. Rick, how about you take it away?
Okay, hey, Kate, thank you very much. And folks, thank you very much to my colleagues and especially the folks that have tuned in today to hear what is going to be a very exciting and informative presentation on what is a very, very exciting initiative. You know, folks, you regularly or you train folks to hopefully complete the training and become certified as nurse aides. What our hope is that through the financial assistance and the technical assistance that you'll hear more about today, we can make that all-important job a little easier for you. So I appreciate the time that you're taking today. And most of all, I so greatly appreciate what you and your colleagues do each and every day for the most vulnerable among us. So thank you very much. John Sauer?
Thanks, Rick. I just want to say a couple of things. One is it's not every day that you jump on a long-term care webinar and it's full of good things about opportunity, about ways that we can help you, but this is one of those. Let's park in the back of our brain for a minute some of the challenges that we're going to tackle on your behalf and tackle together on reimbursement, regulatory fronts, et cetera, et cetera. This is a program really that is at the heart of the issues that are in front of you with respect to workforce. So I couldn't be more pleased to partner with the Wisconsin Healthcare Association. I appreciate Kate and Rick, your efforts and the efforts of Robin and Janice on our staff to get us to the point where we are now. And I would say, one, we all need to take advantage of this program, and we need to own the program. And we should use it now to think about how we're going to attract more people, use some of the public relations things that are coming your way, and really begin to think about how you use this to reach into your schools and your job sites, et cetera. So really excited to be part of this, and it's a great opportunity. And last thing I would say is there are people around the country who are going to be modeling this effort and stealing it, frankly, because we think, offering 3,000 scholarships with no money out of their pocket with a mentorship program and a bonus program is a big deal. And so let's take a minute to celebrate, give thanks to the state for what they're doing. And I'll stop and turn it over to Kate, who has worked many hours on the program. So thank you.
Thanks, John, and thanks, Rick. So moving right along, lots to cover. We'll just go over a quick agenda. Our goal today is to build or expand upon your understanding of WisCaregiver careers and to help you understand the roles and expectations for participating employers. We'll walk you through a program overview and then provide program details on how our new program features for our 2021 is going to change the program. We'll talk about our upcoming statewide media campaign and our new emphasis on mentorship. Then we will roll out our new partnership with the Wisconsin National Guard and hear from Amanda and John on the many advantages of hiring and recruiting National Guard service members as part of your WisCaregiver careers recruitment strategy. Finally, we'll end with Q&A. I wanted to mention that Robin will be staffing our Q&A box as we go along and answering your questions where possible. So feel free to type in your questions along the way. At the end, we'll make sure to share any frequently asked questions and answers with the group. Thank you, Robin, for your help with that. It really helps.
You're welcome, Kate. And one thing, Kate, the presentation is being recorded for those who are interested afterwards. That was something that came up right away. So thanks.
Thanks, Robin. And great question for whoever asked that question. Yes, we are being recorded. Okay, so I'd like to start by providing a quick program overview for those of you who may not be familiar with WisCaregiver Careers. WisCaregiver Careers is a workforce development program designed to address the CNA shortage in Wisconsin nursing homes by providing free training, free certification testing, and $500 caregiver bonuses. The program seeks to encourage new workers to enter the field of caregiving by lowering the costs of becoming a CNA and by making training more readily accessible. WisCaregiver Careers features an employment-first program design in which participants are first hired by the employer and are then trained under an in-house training program or through a third-party provider under an arrangement coordinated by the employer. This program design ensures that program funding is used only on participants who are ready, willing, and able to work in long-term care. They can pass a background check and are willing to accept the vaccine requirements of the job before any program dollars are spent. And from the caregiver perspective, this design also offers an earn while you learn advantage, which eliminates a significant financial barrier to entering the profession. The program has always paid for the free training and testing, and new to our 2.0 expansion, the program will now also pay for the $500 WisCaregiver bonuses. We plan to issue these bonuses on a reimbursement basis paid directly to you, the employer. This way, you and your team benefits from the goodwill generated by the bonus. So here are our training goals and the length of time that we are expecting to achieve them by. The initial time period that we're aiming to use all of this grant money, the $6 million of grant money, is April 4th through February 28th, 2023. So as you can see here, we have some pretty ambitious goals to meet, and we are looking for your help in meeting them. If we want to be able to pay out 1,859 retention bonuses by February 28th, 2023, we will need most of the trainees to start training by August 28th. Keep in mind that we can reimburse trainings that have started on or after April 4th. So if you have a current class that started this week or last week, we'll be able to reimburse you. So talking about our training, Robin, can you go ahead and launch the second, there we go, we got our second poll here. So could you take a few seconds to let us know, how do you plan to train your WisCaregivers? In-house training programs, sending them out into the community? And we're just kind of wanting to understand too, is there a preference for tech college over training program or private training programs for those of you looking to send your trainees out? So it's pretty cool seeing all these responses coming in. It seems like it's pretty much leveling off now, and we're seeing about half of you are planning to do it in-house. About a third of you are planning to send them out to a tech college, and 17% want to send them to a private training program, and the remaining 4% have another idea in mind. So thank you for your responses. Okay. So moving right along here, in addition to our goals of adding more CNAs to the Wisconsin registry, we also have a number of goals designed to support nursing home recruitment and staffing best practices. Our hope is that by providing a low-risk environment for our employers to experience these strategies, you can implement these best practices long-term in a way that works for your particular circumstances and needs. We hope that this will put nursing home recruitment and retention efforts on more even footing with the sophisticated competition in the healthcare labor market and make a positive long-term impact on the CNA shortage in Wisconsin nursing homes. So as you can see here, employer-led training is really the hallmark of the program's employment first model. So what do we mean by employer-led training? This is a recruitment strategy wherein employers grow their own talent by coordinating and paying for training needed to do the job. This is part of our program strategy because we want our nursing home employers to be able to fish from a larger pool of applicants. As a result, our employers are fishing from the pool of everyone who is interested in starting a healthcare career as a CNA, in addition to the pool of pre-existing CNAs. The training reimbursements that the program provides to employers creates this low-risk environment for you to get experience with this sort of recruitment strategy, and it allows you to explore starting up your own in-house training program or to start building business relationships with local training providers such as tech colleges and private programs. Our goal is to put employers in the driver's seat as much as possible so that you're learning and we're teaching these staffing best practices that you can use in the long run. Another one of our employer goals is to provide a low-risk environment and support for you to start up or continue a mentorship program. We'll be providing mentorship programming and resources, as well as $500 mentor bonuses. We've tried to leave as much discretion on the employer side so that you can develop the program structure that works best for you, and so that a variety of models can take root across the state, which then can be shared and replicated in the long term. You can source your mentors from your existing CNA team, and you can use the financial incentives provided by the program to help you attract new CNAs to your building. The 2.0 expansion also includes a statewide marketing campaign designed to produce warm handoffs of interested applicants to our participating employers. Part of this campaign will be the development of customizable marketing assets that our employers can use in your own communities to perform your own outreach. Finally, we will be continuing our partnership with the Food Share Employment and Training Program to help our employers connect with sources of potential job candidates. FSET is a free DHS program offered to able-bodied 18 to 49-year-olds that provides free job search services as well as job retention support. We feel this not only helps our employers bring more candidates to your door, but it also helps your new hires be successful through the support that they provide. We'll cover our new Wing partnership in more detail later in the presentation. So like I mentioned, in order to reach our goals, we need committed employer partners. Let's walk through these commitments quickly here so that we're all on the same page. So first and foremost, WisCaregiver employers agree to hire WisCaregivers as CNA trainees and then coordinate and pay for the CNA training up front. Upon that 6-month retention mark, employers agree to provide their WisCaregivers $500 retention bonuses. Employers cannot charge trainees for training or testing or accept reimbursements for Medicaid. That last part there about Medicaid is really important for everybody to understand because we don't want anybody inadvertently creating or doing Medicaid fraud. So finally, employers, WisCaregiver employers have the option to participate in mentorship programming. If you do participate, we will reimburse you $500 for the bonuses you pay to your mentors for every mentee that hits that 6-month mark. I'd like to walk you through an overview of how this process works. And if you have any questions, again, type them into the Q&A box and we can go over it. So first and foremost, how do people get to your door? Through our marketing campaign and any outward outreach, we are going to be driving the public to our website, WisCaregiver.com. On that website, there is a map which details your location and has a link to apply to your job. If you aren't on our map already, I highly encourage you to fill out the employer registration form on WisCaregiver.com. I'd also like to mention, if you received a phone call letting you know about this webinar and the caller walks you through a questionnaire collecting your name and other specific information to your facility, that means that you've already filled out your application form and you're good to go. If you did not receive that phone call or you did not walk through the form over the phone, please go to WisCaregiver.com and get that form filled out. So anyway, back to our process. The public goes to the website, they check out the map, they find your job posting, and they apply for a CNA trainee position. Then you as the employer follow your normal hiring practices to screen and hire them. I want to mention here, it's not required that you hire your CNA trainees that come to you through WisCaregiver Careers. It's totally up to you according to your normal processes. Upon hire, we're looking for you to assign a mentor within the first month of hire. Once they're on the job, you coordinate and pay for their CNA training. The trainee moves through training and goes on to testing. Once they pass that certification exam, WisCaregiver Careers will send you a $1,000 check for every certified trainee. At the 6-month mark, you, the employer, will pay the WisCaregiver bonus and the mentor bonus, if applicable, if you're doing the mentoring. And then WisCaregiver Careers will send you a check for either $500 if you're not doing the mentorship or $1,000 if you are. So that's the process in a nutshell. So new in 2022, we have more money to distribute. So first off, our flat rate reimbursement is now going to be $700. By flat rate, it means that whether your training costs are above or below $700, you're still getting that one reimbursement level. If your training costs are below $700, that's great. You are free to use that excess reimbursement in any way you see fit. We feel like this provides incentive for our employers to find cost-effective ways of training their WisCaregivers. So by all means, try to do it in the most cost-effective way possible. You'll also be receiving a $300 employer success bonus for every CNA that gets on the registry. Just wanting to point out here that if your trainees do not make it to certification, we cannot reimburse them. Then upon that 6-month retention, we're paying those $500 bonuses. That's new to 2022. Also new in 2022, we have much better processes to help track our trainees and get you paid. We have a partnership with Headmaster, who is the vendor that provides the nurse aid training or nurse aid testing and registry. So moving forward, trainee data will be tracked right within Testmaster Universe, TMU, and the program will be paying Headmaster directly for those tests. So that means no out-of-pocket costs, no reimbursement process for testing at all. Now I want to stress that this technology is currently under development and is not immediately available. So in the meantime, for all your trainees that are either right now in training or will soon be, we need you to fill out our tracking forms, which are found at WisCaregiver.com, the bottom of the page. There are 2 tracking forms. The first one you complete when the trainee starts training, and the second one you complete when the trainee finishes training, either by failing or withdrawing from training or when they pass or fail the test. Once we receive both forms from you, we will be in touch regarding your training reimbursement. And we're hoping that we can provide more information and more details about how the tracking through TMU will work at a future webinar. So stay tuned for that. Also new in 2022, we have a statewide media campaign. It will be provided by Pagorsh Media Design. They're a well-established marketing company that has a successful history of serving WisCaregiver careers. They've designed the program assets since the program's launch in 2018. We currently have 6 motivational videos that are available for your immediate use that you can embed into your website or share through your social media that are available at WisCaregiver.com. We also have trifold brochures which explain the program, which you can download and print. Pagorsh Media Design will be joining us on our May 12th webinar to provide more details on what the media campaign will entail. They've also sent us a few questions that we're hoping that you can help us out with. This poll that we're going to launch is designed to get your feedback of what types of assets or what types of uses you would like to use this marketing for. So go ahead and let us know, would you be willing to include a WisCaregiver Careers news item and or video on your website? Okay, so far 100%. And would you be willing to share WisCaregiver career posts via your social media platforms? And then to help recruit CNAs, which of the following marketing assets would be most useful to you? Click all that apply. So printed brochures, posters for your entryway and bulletin boards, recruitment videos, stories and videos for your website, and digital display ads. So I'm going to give folks a little bit to complete those polls. I see we've got about almost half of the participants have provided their answers so far. Okay.
I think we're leveling
Well,
off.
thank you all for providing those answers. We appreciate that. All right, we're going to share results. So website's a big one. Social media is a big one. And it seems like everybody likes the ideas that they put forth. Okay, great. Well, thanks, everyone. Okay, on to mentoring. So we want to make participating in WisCaregiver careers as easy as possible for our employers. So we are not making participation in our mentoring program mandatory. We do, however, consider this type of programming an onboarding and recruiting best practice and a way to draw in currently certified nurse aides into your WisCaregiver careers recruitment strategy. Recruiting specifically for CNAs who are interested in mentoring is a great way to attract applicants with an interest in leadership, such as wing service members that we're going to hear about in the next slide. So while not required, we would suggest that you offer CNA mentors a slightly higher wage than other CNAs and allow your current team to upgrade their pay and position title as an incentive to participate in trainee mentoring. Now, I do not recommend making mentoring a job requirement, as this may not result in the highest quality of mentors. We are hoping to provide more details on mentoring best practices at our next employer webinar on May 12th, so please mark your calendars. To be eligible for the $500 reimbursement, employers must assign a CNA coworker to serve as the WisCaregiver's mentor within the first month of hire, and the WisCaregiver mentee must retain employment for at least 6 months. The mentee to mentor ratio cannot exceed 2:1 or 2 mentees max per mentor at any given time. And the mentors can receive the $500 bonus for each mentee who receives that 6-month retention. Some tips here is start now with your current staff to try to engage them, let them know that this is coming, and get their feedback on how you're going to be successful. Also, we all recommend creating a WisCaregiver Career CNA mentor specific application. That way we can include it on our website, on our employer map, and those currently certified CNAs have a landing page from WisCaregiver.com over to your careers page. So yeah, we've got a couple of questions that we're hoping you can help us out with. We're interested to know how many of you currently have a CNA mentoring program, and then how many of you want to participate in our WisCaregiver Careers CNA mentorship programming. Seeing a lot of answers rolling in here. Okay, well, thanks everybody. It looks like a lot of us are interested in our programming, so we're glad to see that. All right, thanks for that. Thanks for that info. Okay, now to the exciting part, our new partnership with the Wisconsin National Guard. So WisCaregiver Careers is dovetailing into an initiative from the Wisconsin National Guard called Boots to Scrubs. So Boots to Scrubs is a wing initiative designed to address the workforce shortage across the healthcare continuum, which encourages the wing service members to pursue healthcare careers in their civilian capacities. So, you know, as I'm sure all of us have heard, we have a current deployment across the state of wing service members. Wing surveyed their service members and found that 109 members are interested in staying in healthcare. So we really want to capitalize on this opportunity and make sure that there is a home and a landing place for any wing service member who wants a career in healthcare. We'll be participating in the Wing Career Fair on May 4th. So I really encourage anybody who's interested in connecting with Wing service members to make sure you're on our employer map with a mentor-specific application before May 4th. Because again, we're going to be driving everybody toward the website and the employer map. And I'd also like to mention, we have a wonderful asset in Nikki Gould. She's here to help anybody who's interested in connecting with National Guard. And so please feel free to reach out to her at the email address you see on your screen here. So at this point, I would love to turn it over to Amanda and John to provide us with some context on why Wing service members make great hires, particularly as mentors. So Amanda, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you start your military career? Stuff like that.
So for me, I've been in the military for 1 year now and some change. The reason I really got into it was because most of my family members, I was brought up in a military family. My mom, for instance, she did 20 plus years military intelligence. She retired. So she had a big impact on my choice to be in the military. But for me, it was natural. I knew from like when I was a child that I wanted to be in the military. It was something that I worked hard to do and still work hard to be a part of. So I am currently a student, working on finishing my degree in management. I'm a senior this year, which is good. So I'm excited to be finished up with that. And I'm in my military job is a combat engineer. It's 12 Bravo. And yeah, it's a little bit about me.
And you were deployed in our recent healthcare deployment and trained as a CNA?
Yes.
And now interested in staying on in a healthcare career?
That is correct. Yes. Yep. Very much interested.
That's great. And before this experience in healthcare, was that part of your plan?
Nope, not at all. I had no idea before I even so originally I got on these orders for COVID. I was part of the COVID mission. We swabbed people, all that good stuff. And then I got pulled to be on the CNA mission, which changed everything completely because at first it wasn't something I was interested in. I didn't want to be a part of it. But then when I got pulled and voluntold for it, I realized how much it impacted and changed my view on everything, both physically and like I had no idea how much I would want to be a part of the healthcare facilities or change my entire degree path. And I didn't know that. I realized I love being a part and helping people and how much doing the little things to help these patients or these residents and stuff can make a difference. Little things they thank you for, and it's wonderful.
That's great. And so tell us a little bit, like, how does your military experience, how do you feel it prepares you or makes you a good hire out there in the workforce in your civilian capacity?
The military training that we acquired just from day one of going to enlisting and being sent to basic training, everything that you do is repetitive. They knock all this information and how you dress, how you walk, how you talk, everything you do is just, I can't even think about it. Just it's repetitive. They teach you how to do everything you need to do. And when you leave, you're totally what you came in as, your how you came in and how you leave is totally different. They shape you into the person that you need to be and how they need you to be. So when you go back to your civilian job or lifestyle, you'll take those same that same set of skills with you. So the leadership, the time management, the managerial, like it's all managerial in some way. And all of it, that work ethic that you gained from basic and all that training that they give you is going to go along with you to your civilian. So it's a wonderful skill set that we have attained that can not even help the healthcare, but everyone, like all of it as a whole.
Yeah, I can really see how, that attention to detail of like, having your uniform just right, having your room just right, really transfers over into the healthcare setting. Because, in the military setting, that attention to detail could mean like literally a life and death situation. Lives are truly on the line. And in the healthcare setting, it's the exact same way. Little details matter and people's lives are literally on the line. I could also see like with your team dynamics, like working together, like could you talk a little bit about how, the fact that you're kind of all in it together and as a squad, how that would translate over to, the healthcare environment as a mentor?
Yeah, so everything you do, you work together as a team. You're gonna, even if you don't like the person, you're still gonna work with them. There's a difference between like professional and friendship and stuff like that. You guys have to professionally work together, and you do the same thing in a hospital or in a health anywhere, nursing home, all of it. Any workplace, you're gonna work with nurses, doctors, all this stuff. So you guys are gonna work teamwork things just like you're gonna do military wise. So that works really well and transferring over to doing that.
Great.
And yeah.
That's awesome. And yeah, and like, you know, and Lieutenant Jennings, I know you had said something that you're very passionate about, the leadership aspect that is really forms the backbone of military training. And, you know, if you could just tell us a little bit about how that's part of the worldview and the goal of every service member.
Absolutely. So we have a very unique role in the military, and it's be ready to deploy at any moment to be able to tackle the world's problems. And in this case, also with the National Guard, taking care of anything that comes domestically in this country and state. That's no tall order. When we're looking at this, you're breaking it down and you're realizing that every single service member has to have the leadership ability to take on roles and responsibilities, not just with their fellow cohort, but with civilian entities. So we prepare soldiers, we prepare service members for a whole bunch of different skills that they need to have by providing different types of trainings. And one of the ways that we do that in this current setting, working in these healthcare facilities, is developing a military relationship and mentorship with those service members. For example, I got to oversee 2 different locations here in the La Crosse region for 2 healthcare sites where we have service members actively working currently in the healthcare field. And so directly working with those service members with the role that I had and being the supervisor of 2 different squads, I get to work with those service members and likewise develop and prepare those service members with the skills that they need to be able to communicate efficiently with those sites, developing networking opportunities with those sites, and ensuring that if they don't have a tool, we're creating the resource or we're finding where we need to go for that resource with those service members to be successful and transfer those skills that I'm sharing with those service members into the service member who is then working at that site, providing those same skills, working with the civilian entities, giving them the same type of skills and information needed to be successful.
Great. I mean, everything I'm hearing from my career development facilitation angle is employability skills. And in my conversations with employers and our FSET partners across the state, what I've heard time and again is that trainees struggle most with these types of employability skills. So the communication, teamwork, stick-to-itiveness. Amanda, I know you had said something before about ability to multitask and ability to work under pressure. And I just would love to hear what your perspective is on how your military background has taught you these skills and really helped develop these skills for you.
Yeah, so before I went into the military, I lacked certain managerial skills, certain time management, when I needed to be somewhere, where I needed to be, all that stuff. It was terrible. I didn't know how to speak in front of people very well. I was very nervous. I lacked certain skills that when I got into the military, all that changed. When I first started basic when I ended and graduated, I realized how much everything about that changed, how I wasn't nervous, how I was able to be told 15 different things and get it all done when it needed to be done, from ranking it from let's do this now, this can be done later. So you learn so much that certain like that you're not going to really find elsewhere too much. It's with what you find with wing soldier members versus some civilians. There's a lot of people who do actually have those skills, but you get those skills very like with every wing soldier member pretty much because of the training that they put us through. And it's very helpful.
That sounds great. I mean, everything, again, from the career development recruiter part of my brain, it's like I'm hearing great hire and great mentor. What we're really hoping with this partnership is that Wing can, and the service members that you all will be hiring, will be change agents within our facilities to try to bring the work ethic. Amanda, again, you had mentioned about how it's the kind of like, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean kind of mentality. You had a really great story about the whiteboard that I would love it if you would share.
Yeah, so I'm the type of person personally, like, and this is just how I've learned also, like, the only time off that you have is when you're at home. Like when you're working, you're getting paid to be there. So you should be doing something at all times. Even if there's nothing to do, there's no time. You shouldn't be sitting around. If you can literally pick up a broom, or what I did the other day at work when there was nothing to do was I went around and I went to every single patient's room and checked their whiteboard to make sure their marker was working. And I even got asked, is that really what you're doing? Yes, that's what I'm doing, because I'm a go person and I have to be doing something. Otherwise, I feel like I'm being lazy, honestly. I have to be doing something because I know I'm getting paid to be there to do that job. And there's always something to do. If you don't think there's something to do, you're wrong, because there is. You're in a healthcare facility of some sort, there's going to be something to do. And that's just how I think. And I know that's how other Wing Soldier members think also. That work ethic is what we have.
That sounds perfect. I mean, do you guys have any further things you'd like to add before we move on?
Actually, I do, Kate, if you don't mind. I think one of the most interesting facets about how the National Guard has been involved in this process is the diversity. Like, you can go into any single facility where a National Guardsman's working or a Guardswoman's working and look at the diversity in the background of skills. You have people that are working in the pipe fitter field. You have people working in the culinary field. You have people working in the automotive field, completely different from healthcare. But they have been trained to do this job, and they're performing and executing at levels far exceeding what the initial expectations were set for. And that's the greatest part about the National Guard's ability and endeavor in this, is that we're able to adapt into whatever fit we need to be into to be able to fill that and serve that need for the X amount of time it needs to be served for. So to show that we can put people from all walks of life and backgrounds into the healthcare field, and they can do so and execute that mission set with poise, with compassionate caregiving, and allowing that feedback to come from those facilities saying, this is what we're getting from National Guard service members. We're getting hard work ethic. We're getting disciplined people that want to be there to perform these jobs and duties. And we're also ensuring that they're doing it at the highest standard possible, because having those expectations set high means that we have to be one step above those higher expectations to ensure we're doing our utmost due diligence for those people we're taking care of and for the community that's watching this and scrutinizing every move. So it's a huge undertaking, but it was well worth it. It's definitely paid off, and it's providing care that the Wisconsin community needs.
Great. Amanda, any closing remarks?
I think we've covered it, especially with what LT just said. We've got it covered. Thank you.
Well, thank you both so much for participating in this. Again, everything that you're talking about just, again, paints the picture of great hire and great mentor and great change agent within our facilities. One quick pitch I want to say is now Amanda is still on orders, but will shortly be done with them. So anybody in the La Crosse area who might be watching this, I encourage you to reach out to me and I can connect you with Amanda in case you want to hire her, scoop her up. So thank you guys again, and moving right along here. We want to leave plenty of time for Q&A. So let's just go over our next steps, just so you kind of have an action plan of what do we do from here. So first thing to do is, if you have not already provided your registration information over the phone, please complete the employer registration form found at WisCaregiver.com. It's all the way at the bottom under the employer information section. That'll get you on the map, and that will allow especially our Wing service members to connect with you after that May 4th job fair. And one thing I do want to mention is that a lot of the service members that are coming off of their deployment right now are looking for new jobs or career move. So there really is an opportunity to engage them and hire them. The other next two steps are to create a WisCaregiver Careers CNA training application on your careers page or a WisCaregiver Careers CNA mentor application on your careers page. I recommend that you use WisCaregiver Careers in the application title, just so that there's a bit of continuity from the website over to your jobs page. You know, because they're thinking WisCaregivers when they click there. And so when they get there, you want them to understand that, yes, this is where they're supposed to be. Once you get those set up, please email them to the email address you see here, WisCaregiverCareers@uwoshkosh.edu. We are partnering with the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh to provide our employer database services. And so that's why you see UW-Oshkosh in the domain there. Again, so just go ahead and email those application URLs over to the folks at UW-Oshkosh. And last but not least, mark your calendars for May 12th at 8:30 a.m. for our next webinar. The link on how to attend that will be provided through communications from both WHCA and Leading Age Wisconsin. You can find that information immediately through the WHCA calendar online. There's a calendar item on the 12th. You just click there and all the info is contained within that item. So those are our next steps. Without any further ado, let's move on over to Q&A. And I'll let Robin kind of chime in here and tell us, so were there any like frequently asked questions that maybe we can just start out with?
Yes. I would say the most commonly asked question is, does this apply to only skilled nursing homes, or does this apply to assisted livings, adult family homes? So Kate, do you want to answer that live?
Yes. Unfortunately, our funding sources restrict our abilities to only be available to Wisconsin nursing homes. In the future, we would love to see this program expanded across the long-term care continuum. However, at this time, we are only able to work with nursing homes.
The other question is would a facility who's using like that Ready CNA training program, would they be able to be reimbursed for their own in-house training programs like that?
Yes, is a Ready CNA, is that I'm not familiar with that particular provider. Is that like an online program?
It is. It's a kind of an online hybrid program that some facilities have had approved by the state so far. So.
Kate,
Yes,
this is
like
Janice from Leading Age.
Yes, it's a Leading Age program.
That is the program that we have developed a model for CNA training. So that would be considered an in-house training program, and there would qualify for the funding.
Yes, any DHS approved training program is eligible for reimbursement under WisCaregiver Careers. That includes emergency nurse aid training programs. So if you're currently running one of those, it's fine to get reimbursement under there. However, I would just encourage you to move towards a permanent program as soon as possible, because as we've all heard, that emergency nurse aid training program is about to wind down.
The other question was, what if does the employer get reimbursed if the student takes the class but does not get certified or doesn't pass the certification test?
No, only trainees that make it to the Wisconsin Nurse Aid Registry are eligible for reimbursement. Now, we understand that not every trainee is going to make it that far. We are hoping that the above the state average of training reimbursements that we're providing, plus the employer bonus, will help even out the books for any trainees that don't make it all the way. At our next webinar, I'm hoping to be able to provide clarification on whether facilities can apply for the Medicaid reimbursement if their trainees don't make it all the way through. I have a question into DHS right now, and I'm assuming that by May 12th, we will have an answer to provide there. So stay tuned on more info about that.
All right. Somebody had a question about the $700 reimbursement, Kate. Is that used to cover the actual testing component through Headmaster? How does that additional $300 to skilled nursing facilities handled? How does that work?
So the tests will now be paid for automatically through TMU. So WisCaregiver Careers will pay Headmaster, the testing vendor, directly for the WisCaregiver tests once that technology that I had mentioned is up and running. Until that point, we're going to be using that data, the trainee data tracking form available at WisCaregiver.com to process our reimbursement. It's a flat rate of $125 for test reimbursements, and we will be providing that to our employers up until, directly up until the point that that technology is in place. And once that technology is in place, you don't even have to worry about testing expenses. It's going to be taken care of as the student signs up for their test. They will bypass the payment screen. They'll just skip over it and be able to schedule their test without providing any payment information.
Kate, what about the mentorship program? There's a couple questions on that. One of them is, are we going to provide mentorship resources with this program? And kind of tying in with that, is there anything with the mentor-specific application, are you saying that this is a non-CNA who wants to mentor, or are they already certified and need to about mentors? Could you just clarify a little bit with the mentorship?
Yes, so we will be providing mentoring programming in the forms of webinars and written resources. We have an RFP currently circulating, and so we are hoping that by May 12th on our next webinar, we'll have more details to share on how that mentorship programming is going to shape up. But yeah, like I said, we are planning to provide support and resources for your mentorship program. My advice to you in terms of what you can do immediately to get started on your mentorship is talk with your staff. Get their ideas, get their buy-in, get them excited about this as a way of, again, trying to help them have a more secure staffing environment that they're working in, and opportunities to demonstrate their leadership capabilities. Potentially, if you would like to, offer them a slightly higher wage and a enhanced position title. To answer the question regarding CNA mentors, what we have in mind is a peer-to-peer mentorship relationship. So CNA, who's already certified as the mentor, helping and supporting the CNA trainee. And this is not a role of like trainer, it's not a supervisor role, it's just an additional level of support for the trainees to help them settle into their new role as a CNA. And again, like help out with that employability skills, the commitment to the job, the reliability, all of those more soft skills, not as much heavy on the technical skills. We're still looking at our trainers and our managers to be the ones who are really focused in on the technical medical skills. Does that answer the question, Robin?
I believe so. If not, somebody throw something else in the chat again and clarify. There was a question about, does the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh provide any of the academic component of the training for the facilities? Kate, I mean.
I can see why you asked that question, because UW-Oshkosh has a contract with DHS to provide caregiver training. But no, that is separate from this project. And I don't know if UW-Oshkosh provides like CNA training, but you know, they're great to work with. So if that's an idea that you have, I would certainly encourage you to reach out to them. But no, they are not in that role. They're really just doing our employer database management and some more behind the scenes technical stuff.
Kate, what about the eligibility for those right now who are currently working under the emergency waiver as either a temporary or emergency nurse aide?
So as an emergency nurse aide, if they've already done their training, they don't really fit well into the WisCaregiver model as a trainee, but they could participate as a mentor. So once they get their certification and you feel confident that they've got the leadership skills needed to be a mentor, you could certainly bring them into the program in that capacity. Now, with a temporary nurse aide, I would definitely encourage you to plug them into WisCaregiver careers because, as we know, they are not on the path to the registry by being a temporary nurse aide. So now is the time to get all your temporary nurse aides over onto that track for certification. Another thing I wanted to mention is this program is open to any of your existing employees. So if you have an activity aide or a resident assistant, a front desk person, someone in the kitchen, you name it, if they've got an interest in becoming a CNA, I highly encourage you to plug them into WisCaregiver careers.
Great, thank you, Kate. Another one was, will there be like a tab on TMU to mark that the student is a WisCaregiver student?
Yes, yeah, and I didn't want to get into too much detail because I didn't want to throw too much information at everybody at one time, but yes, the data tracking through TMU is going to be accomplished through technology that is very similar to the technology you're already using to verify their employment for that 2-year federal rule. So it's going to be the same process where the employee gets the ball rolling, saying that, yes, I am working here. It sends a message over to the employer. The employer verifies, yes, this person is working here. So we have 2 points of verification that, yes, this person is who they say they are. And then they are tagged as a WisCaregiver. That's how we track them through TMU, through the training and testing. And then at the 6-month mark, we'll prompt that person to do the employment verification again. And again, the employer has to verify, yes, they still work here. And once that's accomplished, they will show up on our reports. That's how we track them. And they'll show up on the reports, and that's how we'll know to send you all the checks. And that's why our program processes are so much streamlined. Anybody who has submitted an invoice under our current funding will know why. I'm so excited that this new technology is being made available through this wonderful grant funding from DHS.
All right, other question is there a minimum number of hours that they have to work in that 6-month period to be eligible for the retention bonus?
We do not put any rules on that. Again, we want to try to put the employers in the driver's seat as much as possible. We just ask that you're very clear to the WisCaregiver regarding your policies on that matter. So if you have a rule that says, like, if you're per diem or if you're part-time, then you don't qualify, just make sure that that is clearly communicated to the WisCaregiver right at the outset, so we don't have any disappointments or issues down the road. Considering that the program will reimburse you for your expenses for your bonuses, I encourage you to be as liberal as you can be with providing those bonuses, again, as a incentive for them to stay on board for that 6-month period, really get to know the position.
All right, a couple more questions and that's it. Somebody mentioned that they have a nursing home, but they offer assisted living in other areas of the facility as well, and they do accept Medicaid, Medicare in that area. Would they still be eligible?
If they're working for the nursing home and, so like say they're working for assisted living, I would recommend transferring their employment over to the nursing home side and then training them as part of the nursing home. And then if at a later date, after the program's over, they want to switch back to being assisted living, that's up to you. But as the program rules are, this is supposed to be spent only in nursing homes. So as long as the trainee is working for the nursing home, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Just a few more questions. Somebody said that right now they have kind of a program in place where their CNAs pay for the testing and the books out of pocket, and they reimburse them if they stay for a year. If they want to participate in the WisCaregiver career, do they have to change this as kind of being part of the participation?
Yes, because we don't want people to get the wrong impression. Like they hear on our media outreach campaign, free training, free testing, and then when they get to the door, it's, oh, you got to pay up front. So yes, in that sort of situation, I would recommend changing your processes for the next year, such that you would pay for the training up front and then be reimbursed by the program at that $700 rate for every trainee that makes it to certification, plus your $300 bonus that you're free to use in any way that you see fit. If you need to reinvest that $300 to cover the cost of those who don't make it to certification, that's totally fine. If you want to reinvest that $300 as recruitment bonuses or sign-on bonuses, up to you.
I'm going to stump you here, Kate. What about this one? What if somebody trained at another nursing home and they quit, and then they test through the new nursing home? Who gets reimbursed?
Well, I would say that they weren't really a WisCaregiver under those circumstances because they didn't train under the program. The reimbursement has to go to the training, like the employer who actually provided the training. So in that case, I would say go for the Medicaid reimbursement for the test. I know it doesn't cover the whole thing, but it's pretty close.
Great. How does this work with the Wisconsin Fast Forward grant?
Oh, so our current program, we call 1.5 to distinguish it from this 2.0. That our current program, or I guess the program that ran between 2020 and April 4th, pretty much wrapped up. I've now received 489 trainees from our employers out of about a little less than 500 in terms of the funding, because we factored in attrition for those who didn't make it to the 24-hour training minimum. So I haven't processed all the trainees, so that number could go down. That 489 could go down once I get through all the paperwork and approve every invoice. But pretty much that program's wrapped up. And so if you've got trainees that you want to be reimbursed for from July 2020 through April 4th, 2022, reach out to me separately. We're going to see, like, once we process our trainees, if we have any remaining grant funds in any other categories, we're going to try to transfer those funds into the training category so that we can cover additional trainees. Like, if we can actually exceed 500, that would be great. So yes, if you've got those trainees, please reach out to me and I'll try to work with you to get you the reimbursement if I can.
A couple other questions. There was a question about the COVID vaccination and about it being mandatory to be a part of this program. I would think that would be up to the employer themselves. So if you're participating or get hired on by a facility that is part of WisCaregiver and they do accept exemptions, and that's part of their policy, then you would follow the policy of that facility.
Exactly.
Another one, Kate, will there be a database created to track the participation? And if so, will the employer be able to access it?
The participation of the trainees. Yes, so in terms of trainees, the database will really be contained within TMU. And we'll track them by pulling reports out of TMU. So everybody that's flagged as a caregiver, we pull them into a report and then it tells us, who's finished training, who's tested, what their outcomes were, whole 9 yards in there. And we would certainly share those with our employers if they were interested. We're using that more as a source to be able to report back to the grant, because our grant comes with certain expectations. That slide I showed with the 3,000 all the way down to 1859, those reports are going to help show us how are we on track to meeting those goals. So yeah, if there's an employer out there who likes data, by all means, reach out to me. I'm also a data nerd and would be happy to delve into those reports with you.
Okay, somebody mentioned they had reached out and tried to get their organization on the map, but they weren't sure, they didn't see themselves on there. Wondering if we're looking at an old map or is there a current map? Could you explain the map situation?
So if you talk to someone over the phone who was telling you about this webinar, they collected your info, that goes into a form, which I'm gonna download the data on in the back, like on the back end of that form, it all goes into an Excel spreadsheet. And then we're gonna use that Excel spreadsheet to update the map. I wanted to wait until the first flood of registrations came through before we update that map. And I'm hoping that by the end of next week, myself and our director of communications, who's been wonderfully helpful in this whole endeavor, we can get those new registrations up on the map.
Perfect.
But there's nothing wrong. Like if you put yours in and you don't see it yet, that's just because we haven't taken it from the registration spreadsheet and put it into the map yet. But that'll be coming within the next week or so.
What kinds of, somebody asked, so can mentors participate in the soft skills of the job, but also train on the skills of the job?
To be a CNA trainer, I believe you have to be an RN.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't be a trainer. There's certainly no program restriction about CNA mentors helping show the CNA trainees how to do the various medical tasks. We're just more thinking of it like employability skills and support for their transition into their new role, but there's certainly no program requirement that they are not allowed to help the trainees with their technical skills.
Kate,
And
I want to
reinforcing
clarify
some of
on
those
that.
skills, Kate, that that the nurse does train them on, and reinforcing those. The mentors can reinforce and practice some of the training skills with them.
Kate, I'd like to clarify, the primary instructor of a CNA training program has to be an RN, but there can also be trainers who specialize in certain areas, and they can be trainers in the CNA program. They would be under the direction of the RN, who's the primary instructor. So to answer the question specifically, yes, a CNA could be a trainer, but could not be a primary instructor.
Thank you, Janice. That helps so much.
Just two quick questions. Somebody asked if, oh gosh, there's a ton of answered questions here. So I guess the last question I have is actually two of them. Students are typically entered into TMU by the instructors. Are students going to start entering stuff into TMU themselves, or who's doing that?
No, it'll follow the regular processes for students getting into TMU. So if you are a training provider, just do like you would normally do. The one thing I would ask is like try to get them in there as soon as you can, just so that we have better like real-time data in terms of numbers of enrolled trainees. But just follow your normal processes. And then once that trainee is in there, you as the employer, and again, we're going to get into this in our next webinar in more detail, or when that technology is up and running. We want the employers to develop processes whereby they're telling their trainees, go into TMU and start your employment verification process. So it first has to start with the trainee and then it's verified by the employer. So yes, that will be part of it, but the entering them into TMU is just normal, like you normally do.
And one final question, Kate. Been doing so great with these. What information should be included on the application?
Your normal, I would say again, like you just use your, for the CNA trainee one, if you already have one, just use your normal one. I would just put on the top, like in the title, WisCaregiver Careers CNA trainee. For the mentor one, again, they're going to have the same job duties as a normal CNA. They're just going to do a little bit extra in terms of the mentoring. So I would write it in a tone that's going to try to appeal to folks who are interested in leadership. So like, you know, maybe starting it out of like, do you like to lead? Do you like to help others achieve their career potential? We're looking for experienced CNAs to come on board as a CNA trainee mentor. And just make it clear that this is a job for people that are already certified nurse aides who also want to be mentored. I would also make sure to mention the $500 bonus per mentee that makes it to 6 months, so that financial incentive is wrapped up in there. And if there is a pay differential, again, that's totally optional. It's just a suggestion. If there's a pay differential, I would mention that in there too. And I would also mention that to your current team if you're going to offer that pay differential. Make sure it's well known that you get a little bit of a raise if you participate as a mentor.
And I believe that was it for questions, unless anyone else.
All right. And thank you for your questions. That's helping me understand what sorts of resources might be helpful for us to develop. So yes, I'm going to think about how maybe we can help support our employers with more resources with these. Really, thank you for the questions. They're really great. If you think of anything later on, please feel free to call me or email me. I'm always happy to help. And I always like hearing from the employers because that's how I really know what's going on and what we need to do to help you be successful in this. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for participating in WisCaregiver Careers. And we hope to see you on May 12th for that next webinar. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you again to Amanda and John for being here. Thank you for the WisCaregiver Careers 2.0 team for all your wonderful help and support. And thank you to the employers.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.